All right, so we're back on Dr. Walls and Friends. And Naseed, in the last segment, you were talking about how you can't sell the product without you being a part of it.
Yes, yes. So, I mean, for the business venture, you know, anyone who's doing anything creative, people buy into you, your mission, and you know your purpose of what you bring to the table.
Yeah.
You're selling you. And once I understood that,
Yes.
because I tried to speak through others, you know, I have a partner that I felt was more comfortable, you know, conveying the message, conveying the story, so I could kind of rebound off of him. I try to use social media as a mask, so I try to put it out there without putting the face.
You were still trying to be that superhero,
Yeah,
huh?
I was trying to put it out.
You were trying to wear a mask.
Yeah, I was trying to wear a mask because even here today, you know, years ago, I wouldn't sit in front of the camera. I would be behind the camera, you know, probably narrating versus being in the front. There's just the, you know, that was just my personality.
Right.
But once I stepped in front of the camera and was confident, so when you conceive something, you conceive it in your mind, and then you believe it in your heart.
Yes.
And then you achieve it with your hands.
That's right.
And that's the actual work. And
Give
once
it to them again. Look at that camera and give it to them again.
Well, when you coming up with any project and you conceive it, because the first thing with PB Soldier, I conceived it in my mind, but I actually put something out there, but I didn't actually have the second part, which is believe. And when you believe in something, you know, you believe it with your heart. And this is something that's purposeful, that you believe in, that you'll go to the end of the world for, and then you achieve that stuff with your hands. So conceive, believe, achieve.
Oh, I love it. Let me take a tambourine. Yes, it is so important because you do have to have that three-step model.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So,
because most people are stuck in the conceive,
yes, they are.
you know, aspect. So they may go as far as writing it down, but they don't do anything else with it.
That's
you know,
right.
they have all these great ideas.
Yes.
You know, I've read this book called Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice by Dennis Kimball, and he talks about that. You know, that's, you know, just having 5 ideas a day and writing those down. And then if you did that for a whole year, how many ideas? And one of them, just by, you know, probability, will be that opportunity for you. And if you worked on that, you know, solely, that'd be the opportunity that will make you that, you know, those millions and everything that you're looking for.
And fulfill that purpose, right? Fulfill the desires of your heart. And also help you spearhead the other ideas that come forward after that.
That's correct.
So, yeah. So now with that, there's this thing called ChemFest.
Oh, yes.
What is this?
Well, coming from my journey from developing my own comic series and everything, I bounced around and went to all of these different conventions. One was ECBOC. I've gone as far as Detroit to Motor City, Black Age of Comics. And with all of that, I was like, man, I'm traveling all these places and there's nothing happening in New Jersey.
Look at that.
You know, so I was like, man, maybe we should do something in New Jersey. So I was fortunate enough to have you and brother come down to the first ChemFest where we did it at Central High School. And from there, we just kept expanding and growing it because a Comic Con, especially in a city like Newark, this was a new thing. So we had to do 2 things. We had to.
When he told me, I was like, in Newark, really? He was like,
so we had to educate the community on what this is, you know, and grow it at the same time. So we were building the plane and flying it all at the same time. You know, so we knew there was a market out there for that. We knew that there was a number of creators. Because I was, intertwining and some of these individuals were my friends. And I'm like, well, we don't have a venue for these individuals to be able to come together and showcase their work. But I thought about one particular thing. When you go to see an animation or you go see a movie, but I'm going to talk about animation in particular because that ties into exactly what we're talking about.
Okay.
And you look at the number of job opportunities that's there. And the exposure to those things, those are 1,000 jobs. Most of those individuals don't look like us, right? Or from the African diaspora. So when we looked to develop ChemFest, we had a STEM focus with that because in animation and gaming, there's a ton of opportunities. Some of them require 4-year degrees. Some of them are more technical. But those are opportunities that are well paying that we are nowhere a part of. So that was one of my driving missions when we decided to develop KimFest and be able to showcase all of those great things as well as Black creators.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And let me say this real quick. Sometimes, people say, well, the market's out there, you can just go. When you're the first or the only one, you don't realize that there's other people. There is an energetic barrier that exists that you have to get past. And it's not something that's tangible. There's emotional, it's psychological, and then sometimes there's even barriers that are put up for you not to get past. And so just to be able to see somebody, know somebody that's done it, helps you recognize that that path has already started to be made, or if it hasn't, there's a certain level of buildup that I have to strengthen up to forge that path.
I mean, even before we actually looked to do KimFest, I actually talked to the elders. So Yummy Odom, who does the East Coast Black Age of Comics, I asked for his blessings. You know, he said, go do it. We need something like this in North. We need to expand. We need to be able to expose our young people as well as our adult population with this medium that we call comics. And now we took, comics and exposed, now we talk about comics, we talk about animation, and we talk about gaming. Because all of those aspects of it is something that we are biggest consumers of, but we're not the creators. So the platform that we have as KimFest is where we get the now generation meeting the next generation of creators. And that's where we wanted to actually, the vision for it is for it to be a training grounds.
Oh, I love it.
So a training ground, so the creators now are doing certain things, and we're going to be building out master class workshops and stuff like that. We're not at that level yet, but that's the vision for for where you could come, like, all right, I'm doing this, I need to know about Kickstarter and how to crowdfund, and I need to be able to take my art to a next level, do a master class with that, or being that is a lot of creators and a lot of artists, being able to take that and understand the business side of it. So all of those things are all what we're looking to intertwine, just because we're passionate about animation, comics, and gaming, and pour all of that into it. And then, of course, celebrate the great culture of which we come from, which is Kemet. So the Kemetic legacy, which most people don't know about, but is influenced throughout comics, throughout animation, throughout history, all of those things. There's so many elements of that, in Yu-Gi-Oh!, in Thundercats. I can't name probably animation. It's in Batman, and it's in it's in all of these different things. When they talk about the pyramids, they talk about X-Men and Apocalypse, and where he's supposed to be the first mutant and all this stuff. All of those things. And I always say that we always had our mutant powers anyway. That's why they're trying to develop synthetic melanin and everything. So because the melanin is a power, and that's why we react different to sun and we absorb sun differently. And from a biogeochemistry standpoint, we are kind of different in that, and that's why drugs interact with our body chemistry differently. All of those things, and people have studied us. We haven't studied ourselves enough, but people have studied us, and that's why it's so detrimental to understand the the oneness with self and know thyself.
I was about to say, Naeem Akbar talks about know thyself.
Because people are studying our biochemistry, and we don't know that the energy signatures from the devices and how it affects the energy. The aura around your own body, the electromagnetic fields and stuff, which is something I studied in engineering. Me keeping my cell phone to my butt versus me putting it on my chest, because of, and a lot of the stuff is actually written, it's just not hitting. Like they tell you not to put the phone to your ear. That's why they sell headphones. They don't make you because I want you to do music, or the fact that they put a speaker on the thing. It says that the cell phone should be at least 5 to 10 centimeters from your head, and that's why they give you those options. Most people still, put it on their ear and everything and hold it, but that's because of the radiation that's coming from the cell phone signal and stuff. So, But that's actually a clause in your phone. So if you want to look, you don't believe me, check your phone. Look in the legal, then look in EMF.
Yes.
So exposure. So those things are all there. You can challenge me on that one. I dare you to research
take it. Right.
Yeah,
I dare you to read the fine print.
Yes, please,
right.
please, because it's in your cell phone. So they can't say they didn't tell you.
Exactly. Exactly. So here you have all of this happening. When does ChemFest take place?
ChemFest is taking place May 8th and 9th of this year. We have a new venue at NJIT, the WEC Center, which is the Wellness, I'm forgetting what the E stand for. Wellness Entertainment Center? No. Education? No.
But it's WEC?
WEC, the WEC Center.
Okay. In Newark?
In Newark, New Jersey.
All right.
On NJIT's campus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we have a whole arena where we're going to have ChemFest. So those of you who've been there last year thought the venue was really nice. This year we're going to be even nicer.
Okay.
So, it's about exposure. Like I said, I take this to the grave with me because one event that happened to me in 10th grade impacted me for my entire life.
Look at that.
So me working with that engineer at AT&T Bell Labs, all of those nights for 6 weeks impacted how I perceive life, how I look at, what experience and exposure can do for an individual.
Yeah.
I don't know where I would be today if I didn't have that. I actually got an opportunity back then to be on 2020. In a Minute on USA.
Wow.
Of course, the Star Ledger, which is a local newspaper. And then we won what we call a Chairman's Award. And then at the time, the Chairman's Award was like winning the NBA championship. So got to go to the White House and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, all those things happened.
But look at that, right? That one program, and this is why it's so important to have these types of programs in the educational setting, in other programs like PAL and Boys and Girls Club and things like that, because that one moment of exposure has caused you to impact how many hundreds of lives?
Oh, yes, yes.
That one moment in your life.
That one moment. And I always reflect on that, like, man, because that one opportunity, which happened in early, was that 91? Which is the U.S. first robotics program. It was the only year that was piloted in our school. Like I said, I was one of 10. I could have easily been a number 11 and never actually had the opportunity to be a part of it.
Or it could have been the year before, the year after,
or the
but
year,
it never had an opportunity.
And never had the opportunity to be able to do it. And that's where I pretty much saw that, this whole thing as far as being an engineer is something that I wanted to do. And then, when you aim for the stars, right? When you were shooting for the stars and you land and hit, that was where I plateaued. Yeah. Like I wanted to be an engineer. Up until that point, I wanted to be an engineer. I looked to create different things. I was, and it's funny because now when I think about it, Voltron, which is childhood toy.
He went there.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I wanted to create in college. That's what I wanted.
Wow.
I had the whole display laid out.
Wow.
That's why I wanted to, as far as robotics, I was thinking about developing those robotic lines.
Yeah.
And then, I was building with my peoples, and it was like, man, the government going to take it and use it against us. And then that kind of, settled me down, and I didn't go through and finish that project or whatever. But my freshman year of high school, I had sketches. I had the whole layout of what the interior would look like, and and I was gonna be in the lab working on that thing, and then got some additional exposure, and looked to transition that. So
yes. But you know what I'm thinking as I'm listening to you is you are an engineer in your own way. And so many times, right, when we think about these words, we think about doctor, we think about healer, we think about engineer, we think about it in its quote unquote traditional sense.
Oh yes, definitely.
But you are without a doubt a master engineer because you have brought together so many different pieces of the community. You have engineered health and creativity and exposure and options in ways that if you had stayed in that narrow framework of an engineer, so many lives, and when I'm talking thousands of lives, because if you add up the number of students that you have impacted and influenced over your career, we're talking thousands of people and families.
Yes. And 5 sits heavy on my brain because I had a number of kids who, were not great at math, and end up with an engineering degree, 8 years later, because,
Wow.
4 years of high school, then,
Yeah.
4 to 5 years of college, and now they're making 80,
Yes.
they're making more than the teachers who were
Right.
teaching them.
Right.
So that right there is one of the things that, I'm very thankful for.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, just kind of still pushing,
Yeah.
to help develop that next generation of technology leaders, because the traditional worker, as we see, or the working class, is changing because they have to use creativity. So a lot of stuff is getting automated, but the mind, it can never be automated.
That's right.
And the creative juices that you need to do to be able to only be a technician, be able to work on the various aspects, and voice is such a new technology that they need individuals who understand it, as well as be able to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always expose myself to all these conferences and everything, and then I'll write a story about it. I'll put them in the comic.
Okay.
So when they always talk about this Afrofuturism and
Yes,
everything, that I've been influenced by technology, and I see my whole story with PB Soldier is pretty much if we live in a world where everyone's considered a terrorist,
Yes.
I foreshadow what the world will look like. That's what the whole story of PB Soldier is, and then how it connects to his ancestors, where understanding of your past. Paves a pathway for the present. Impacts the present, but
That's
paves
right.
a pathway for
That's
the
right.
future. That's all of PB Soldier right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
So that's how I developed the sci-fi adventure.
Yeah.
And then also use it as a tool to teach various STEM topics. So, that's where we are. So right now we actually have a Kickstarter going to fund the next the volume of all of the episodes that we've created.
Okay.
But it's really about joining a movement to educate the next generation of technology leaders, because we actually developed a curriculum. So the story by itself is in the volume, but we also developed the Hacker's Guide, which actually exposes individuals, because PB Soldier is a computer hacker.
Okay.
So what is computer hacking? There's different types of hackers. There's a black hat, and there's a white hat.
Okay.
So that it gets into that. There's different activities of using binary code, code breaking, all of those things. And then if you're interested in all of this stuff,
Yes.
we also provide additional resources of how you could get into coding and all of those different things. What colleges and universities actually offer these type of for cybersecurity,
Yes.
coding, computer programmers, all of those things. So that's what PB Soldier is all
So
about.
PB Soldier is not just make believe.
Oh, no.
It is tapping into the real.
Oh yeah,
It's
definitely.
tapping
There's
into
no
the now.
superpowers.
Yes.
Some people may think it's superpowers
Yes.
because they don't understand the whole, have a complete understanding of, channeling the energy
Yes.
within,
Yes.
and then an understanding of who they are and where they come from. So, he sees visions, and it's something. His name is Nathaniel Cummins,
Yes.
or Nat Cummins, where I kind of loosely base him off of Nat Turner.
Yeah.
And Nat Turner actually saw visions, and when he saw visions, it was, he said it was God telling him to do certain things,
Yes.
to help get his people free,
Yes.
and things like that. So those are the things that, I always try to reflect on and expose our community to, so we can always rise to a higher level.
Exactly. So now how do people get a hold of it?
Well, you can get a hold of me, Naseed Gifted, via Facebook, but the PB Soldier Project is at PB Soldier. That's PBSOLDIER. That's on Instagram, that's on Twitter, And that's also on Facebook. So on Facebook, we have a PB Soldier page. We're running the Kickstarter campaign, just launched 3 days ago.
Okay.
We're looking to raise $10,000, but we're looking to do much, much more because the next level of all of this is the animated series.
All right.
And with the animated series, we already have the pilot already done.
Nice.
Just need the funding to be able to develop it.
Okay. And ChemFest, if people are interested in
Oh,
ChemFest.
so ChemFest is on the social media platforms. It's at ChemFest, which is KHEMFEST. That's on Instagram, Twitter. Also, you could go to www.chemfest, that's KHEMFEST.com.
And you said that's in May?
That's May 8th and 9th in Newark, New Jersey at NJIT Weck Center.
I love it. I love it. So, again, you see why he is a special guest. He is doing amazing things in the community.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
We thank you because the current generation and the next generation definitely needs a path to follow. And you are in the spirit of Sankofa,
Yes.
right?
Be able to look
Looking
back.
to the past,
Yeah.
right? Bring the best of the past forward to impact the present and to make the future greater.
Yes.
And you are definitely one of those people that's making the present better and the future greater. So thank you.
No, thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. So until we meet again, we encourage you to live your greatest life. God bless.